All right, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. We're going to jump right in and start talking about lateral flexion here. So, what is it? How do you get it? Simply put, lateral flexion is getting your horse to flex their neck, their head and neck, from side to side, okay? No simpler definition than that. Why is this so important? In my opinion, this is probably, next to moving the hips around, the most important thing you can teach your horse, because it is the gateway to unlocking everything from moving shoulders over to rib cages to the whole nine. In a 30-plus year career, it was the very first thing that I taught every horse that came in to train in with me. It was the very first thing that I taught every client that came in for a lesson. How to get that neck soft and get it bent from side to side, okay? I'm going to share with you right now what the system that I was taught when I was young and that I have used for my entire career and has seemed to make sense to countless folks, all right? And I've never had anybody come to me and say it was too complicated, so I'm hoping this will help you too, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. So in the previous video, we talked about how to properly pick up on your reins. Lift up, slide your hand down, bring your hand back, lock your elbow into your side, stabilize, okay? We're going to use that same formula right here, but what I'm going to do is my eventual goal is I want to be able to get my horse to flex their head all the way around to a 90-degree angle from their body or further, maybe around to the toe of my boot, whatever you prefer, okay? That's my eventual goal. But that's not where I want to start off, okay? I'm just asking for problems if I go out and expect my horse, who's never been taught this, to just flex around to the toe of my boot, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down into little segment goals, okay? And the first of those goals is what I call a baby give. What a baby give is I'm going to take a particular body part and I'm going to ask that particular body part to move in the direction of the rein I'm pulling on, okay? So for a baby give, the body part that I personally focus on is the nostril. I know it sounds funky, but you'll see what I'm talking about here. So if I'm picking up on the right rein, I'm going to be talking with the right nostril. If I'm picking up on the left rein, I'm talking to the left. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and pick up on the rein here, and I'm just going to apply pressure, and all I'm going to do is after I apply pressure and stabilize my hand, I'm going to wait for Jubilee to move that right nostril to the right. Okay? Real simple. Same thing to the left. Excellent. Doesn't have to be far, even if it's only this much. All I'm looking for is a willing try. Okay? Excellent. 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 So, all I'm doing is just tipping my horse's nose off to one side or the other. Not real far. Maybe about a 45-degree angle at the most. Excellent. And I just practice this back and forth, side to side, side to side. Doesn't matter if I'm at a stop like I am here, if I'm at a walk, if I'm at a trot, canter. I practice it the same way, okay? So what you're going to find is as you practice this baby give, is you're going to start noticing that your horse's neck gets softer. It takes them less time to respond to the bit. And actually, your horse is probably going to start flexing a little bit deeper to the side, okay? A little bit more than what you ask. That is a great indicator that you're ready to move on to the next step, which is what I call the good give, all right? Now, the good give is everything that the baby give was, but more, all right? Let me demonstrate what I'm talking about. So I'm going to reach up and ask Jubilee just to bend her nose, her left nostril, over in a baby give. She gives it to me, but now she's actually bringing her head a little further to the side, little past a 45-degree angle. That's when I'm going to release my rein now. Okay, so initially, all she had to do was just move her head in the direction of the pull. All right, Now what I'm looking for is that, and then as soon as she gives me a little bit more than that baby give, now she's kind of moving into that good give territory, all right? That's when I'm gonna wanna release the rein. And again, I'm just gonna practice this from side to side, okay? Until I feel like my horse is consistent, comfortable, and understands the process, or she's starting to give me more than what I'm asking for, okay? Once I start seeing that, then I can go ahead and move on into the next phase, which is what I call a great give. And that's the money position. That's where everybody wants their horse to be. And that is everything that the baby give and the good give was, but again, it's more. And now I'm getting my horse to flex past a 90-degree angle and reach around and maybe touch a toe of my boot. For me personally, I don't insist on that. Nothing wrong with it. I just don't. But in a great give, I want to see this head come past a 90-degree angle from the body. A lot of people don't like that. They tell you that when you do that, you drop the horse's weight on their outside shoulder, that you always want to keep the ears level, etc. I don't pay any attention to that. I've never had an issue with it, so I don't know if it's right or if it's wrong. It just seems to work, all right? So that's lateral flexion in a nutshell, right there. It's not hard. You know, the one thing that I will caution you on is when you go out to practice this with your horse, if you've never done it with your horse before, you're probably not going to get the same reaction that I'm getting from Jubilee here, okay? You may have to pick up on this rein and hold and wait for a while, and that's okay. I did with her. She's not new to this. Or, I mean, she's done this 1.5 million times, folks. You know, you may have to wait a little bit longer to get the flex that I'm getting here in just a second or so. That's all right. Give your horse time. If your horse is not responding as quickly as you would like them to, it just simply means that they need more work, all right? And so it just means you got to go out and practice some more. And as you practice, you'll start noticing your horse giving deeper, quicker, more relaxed. You're going to start seeing the head drop, okay? These are all great signs and what you want to look for in your training sessions, all right? Another couple of things that I want to share with you about this. Number one, you cannot over practice this, all right? I don't care what anybody says. You cannot ever get your horse too responsive to the bit, get their neck too soft, all right? I have never heard anybody in any discipline ever say, oh man, my horse was too responsive today to the bit, all right? I've never heard a barrel racer say that. I've never heard team ropers say that, a cutter, a Western pleasure person, a jumper, a dressage person, nobody, all right? A trail rider. I've never heard anybody gripe about their horse being too responsive. So do not be afraid to practice this a little bit every day if that's what you need to do. Get that head and neck soft, okay? Another little cautionary tale here. When you're working at a canter, I personally very rarely and only under certain circumstances ever ask for a great give at a canter, okay? Instead, what I'm going to do is if I've got a horse at a canter, I'm going to reach down, ask for a baby give, work into a great give, and as my horse's speed drops, then I can start working into a great give. The reason for that is, let's say something happens and your horse takes off, gets some momentum, and is at a good run. If you reach down and ask for a 90-degree give, okay, or a great give, and your horse is going too fast, you run the risk of tipping them over and them falling on you, okay? And potentially even rolling over the top of you. I lost a good friend several years back to a horse that slipped, went down, rolled over on top of him, okay? And so when I'm working at the canter, I like to limit my bends to baby gives and good gives at the most, okay? Now, later on when we start talking about one rein stops and stuff like that, I'll kind of fill in the blanks there a little bit, because things are going to go, if you need to one rein stop your horse, things are going to go pretty quick, but there's a critical point or a piece of timing there to get that head that far around and get them shut down before they get the momentum built, okay? So, but that's another story for another time. And so, again, nothing spectacular, nothing big. Practice this, get it good. If you find that you're having problems at the higher speeds, let's say you're working at the canter and things just aren't working for you, don't be afraid to drop back down to a trot. If you're working at the canter and you feel like your horse is just stiff and isn't giving to you and tuning you out, all speed does is add resistance, all right? Don't be afraid to drop back down to a trot or a walk, whatever you have to. Go back to the last point in your training where you had control, get that control back, and then gradually build back up to the canter, okay, or whatever speed you were at, all right? Be humble, give your horse time to figure this out, practice it, and I'm sure that it'll pay big dividends for you, just like it has for me for, again, 30 plus years, all right? So hope this helps. Keep it simple, and we'll talk to you next time.